Hi there, my name is Liam Griffin and I'm a Developer Community Manager here at Shopify. Today we're going to be looking at how to edit Shopify themes locally on your computer using the Shopify Theme Kit tool for developers, which allows you to push changes that you make to these theme files up to a live storefront. So let's dive into it. So the Shopify Theme Kit tool has existed for a while, and it's helped a lot of developers who might have been building themes from scratch, or developers who are working on their client stores, or developers who might be creating custom themes that are built on top of existing themes. So we just want to spotlight this tool for any developers that might want to use it in their workflow. If you're working with themes, it's an extremely helpful tool. And essentially what ThemeKit does is it allows you to download themes from Shopify stores, make changes, and then upload those changes to that live Shopify store again. And the big benefit of using a tool like ThemeKit is that it allows you to implement your own workflow. So if you're using your own text editor of choice, and I'll be looking at different options for extensions and plugins with text editors. But it allows you to just bring the sort of the flexibility that you're used to with your own development workflow. If the agency or team that you work with have specific workflows, you're able to integrate those into working with Shopify themes. You can also work with different environments as well. If you have a workflow that includes a testing and production style workflow, you're able to push changes to different environments using this as well. So ThemeKit will work on any Shopify store. So in my case, for this demo, I've created a store from my partner dashboard, a developer store. And you can also use this on stores where you might have collaborator access, or you could use it on just a regular Shopify store that's been spun up. Also works on developer preview stores as well if you want to try it with developer preview stores. So as well as a live store, we will also be working with Terminal. So if you have, if you're using a different application, because ThemeKit is a command line interface tool, you'll need a command line tool. So maybe you're using iTerm potentially. In this case, I'll be using Terminal, and also we'll be using a text editor. In my case, I'm using VS Code, but you can use Sublime or Atom or any other editor that you want. That allows you to edit the liquid files that we'll be downloading. And on the Shopify store that you're using, you also need to have, of course, a theme installed. In my case, I will be using Debut. This is a fresh version of Debut. I've just added some sample products, but this is just the pre-installed Debut theme that we'll be using. So once you have all of these resources, the first thing we'll look at is how to actually install ThemeKit. So depending on the operating system that you're using, you will have different options for installing. So I would recommend going to shopify.github.io/themekit to see specifically your instructions. But I will run through these one by one, just to give you an idea of how to install. So if you're running Mac OS, you can use Homebrew to install. There are two commands here that you can run. Once you've run these and you've installed dependencies, you'll be able to start using ThemeKit. Similarly with Windows, you can use the chocolatey package manager to install ThemeKit with that just with one simple command. And on Linux, you can use this curl command to install and automatically download the latest version of ThemeKit for you. There's also manual installation options that you can install packages and run those locally on your computer too. For those download options, you can read more into that as well. So once you have installed ThemeKit, you'll actually be able to start just running commands from your, in my case, terminal, and whichever command line you're using. So for example, I can start running theme help, which will give me a list of the available commands and flags, different options available to us. And what we'll be focusing on quite heavily today will be this get command, which allows us to download a theme, configure it on our machine, and then edit it. Watch is also going to be something we'll be looking at a little bit later on too. But what's also important and interesting to look into is commands around deploy and around new. If you're building a theme from scratch, you're able to create a blank theme, a very basic theme, and start adding on to it yourself. So before we start running any of our commands, our get commands specifically, there will be some information that we need to get from our online store so that ThemeKit that's running on our computer can be able to communicate to the store that we have available here and to our debut theme specifically. So if we look at the description of the commands that we're going to be using, get is going to be the key command here, and for this we'll need a number of pieces of a puzzle. We're going to be needing an API password, a store identifier, and also a theme ID identifier as well. So those three pieces will allow us to create a config file that will be the bridge essentially between ThemeKit on our computer and this online store. So as I mentioned, the first piece will be the API key or the API password, and to create this we'll need to create a private app on the Shopify admin. And you can create private apps straight from the admin, and these are apps which are tied specifically to this one store. If we go into apps and we click on manage private apps, we'll be able to create a private app straight from here. So if we just click on create new private app, we can give the private app a name. I'm just going to call it testing ThemeKit. And I'll just add in a example email. But then the most important part of this private app will be the permissions that we give it. So we want to give it permissions that allow it to see or to get or to read the theme files, and also to edit these or to write onto those. So if we look at our permissions which are available, if we look at the inactive ones, we want to look for permissions related to themes. So if we scroll down on all the permissions to themes, so this is where we can set permissions to view and to manage theme templates and assets. And if we change this from no access to read and write, this means that the API that we create will have the ability to see our theme templates and files associated with the theme and write to them. So all we need to do now, once we've enabled those permissions, is save, which will create the app, which will give us the API password that we need. So if we scroll down past the details that we inputted, you'll see here this section with API key and API password. So what we need is this password. So I'm just going to copy this clipboard and add it to my doc where I'm keeping note of all the credentials, which will be reset for security purposes. So now I've added the API password next I need to get the store ID and the theme ID. So the store ID is actually the easiest piece of this puzzle to find. It's essentially just the URL or this part of the domain that has the unique store name with the .myshopify.com part of the domain, and this will be my store ID. I'm going to just enter it here so I have all of these pieces easy at hand, and then the next part will be the theme ID. So it's actually possible to run a command in ThemeKit that will list all of the theme IDs which are associated with a store. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this command, the theme get with list, the list flag. That will list out all of the themes which are associated with this store. I know there's only one, it's my live debut theme, so hopefully when I run this it will give me that information. So I just simply paste that command into terminal, and I'm able to, hopefully if this runs correctly, yep, like I see here, so it's telling me I have one theme on my store. It's the live debut theme with this unique identifier number here. So again, I'm going to put this into my notepad. There is also another way I'll show you of getting a theme ID from a store. If you go into online store and you click on customize to enter the online store editor, you'll be able to see in the address bar at the top that we have this number that's appearing after themes and before editor, and this is actually the theme ID as well. And you can see it ends in 533. It corresponds with what we were seeing when we ran that command in ThemeKit as well. So that's just another way that you can get a theme ID. So now that we have all the pieces of the puzzle, we can actually start to create that connection between the online store and ThemeKit. The next command we'll need to run will be the get command again, but this time with all of the pieces of our puzzle included. So the API password, I'll be adding this in along with the store ID and the theme ID as well. When you're looking at these commands, we're not including the square brackets. So now I have the command is ready, but I do need to make sure that when I'm running this command, I need to be I need to run it inside a folder where I want all my theme files to be installed into. So in my case, I've created a folder on my desktop. It's called ThemeKit Test. Now when I'm inside this folder, I'm going to be able to run my full get command, which has the password, the store ID and the theme ID, and this should connect with my store and start to download I left in one of the square brackets. Easy mistake to make. So now once I run this command, hopefully it should communicate with the store. Yeah, I'm seeing here now that it's installing the different files. There's 145 files associated with this theme, and this is going to install those one by one. So now that this has installed, it's gotten to 100%. I can now go on to my local computer. I have my ThemeKit test folder here, and inside here I should see all of the theme files that I'd expect to see, and these will correspond exactly with what you would see on a Shopify store. If you go into the code, you can see all the different directories, and this is going to correspond exactly, and within these directories we'll have all of the different files that we'd expect, and these are just been taken exactly from this store. But what is different that you might notice is we have this config file here, config.yaml. And if I just go into this quickly in my text editor, I can see that this config file actually contains API password, the theme ID, and that store that I was using, that I'm using to connect with ThemeKit. So this is every time that I make changes when I'm running ThemeWatch, which I'll show you in a few minutes, it's going to use this config file to authenticate the changes that I've made. So this is great. I have my theme. The next step is going to be actually making changes to it. So the command that I'm going to want to run now is going to be ThemeWatch. I'm going to run this inside my ThemeKit testing folder. So now if I run ThemeWatch, we will be able to keep track of changes that are being made and push those changes up to the live environment. So you can see here we're getting a message when I run this command letting me know that this is the live theme on the store. So it's aware of whether this is a published or unpublished theme, and then it's telling me that it's watching for file changes to the theme. So I want to test this out. So I'm going to just open the project folder in VS Code. I can see all of my different folders here, directories for the theme. And if I go into theme.liquid, I'm just going to do something simple just to test that this is working. I'm going to add a very useful liquid object, which is just template without any supporting attribute or property, so just template on its own. And what this does is it will give me the name of the template file that's being used, so which file within the templates directory is being used to render the page. So this can be sometimes very useful if you're trying to debug problems that you might be seeing on a theme. So before I look at the theme, I'm just going to look at terminal again, and you can see here it was processing some changes. So I added the template object, I saved it, and you can see here that there's a timestamp for these saves. I also made just a minor change again, so that's why you're seeing two updated messages. So just fixing indentation. Every time you save, this will be processed and pushed to the live store. So now if we go to our live store, I'm just going to preview this store and see if it's working correctly, if what we've added. And you can see here index is appearing where I'm expecting. I added this just below where the section header is being included, and I can see right below the header index, and that's because the index.liquid template is rendering this home page. If I go to collection page catalog, I'll see collection. If I go to a product page, I'll see product. So this is telling me that this is working. This is really great, and my changes that I'm making on the text editor to the theme files, when they save, they're being pushed. So this is really great to see. So now that we have ThemeKit running, we can make any changes that we want to our theme files. Making any changes, if there's some work that you're doing for your client, you can make those changes, or if you're building a theme from scratch, you can use this workflow. And as you noticed here, I've some nice syntax highlighting. This is not actually a native feature of VS Code. I'm using this liquid extension that will enable syntax highlighting. It's simply called liquid. You can find that by searching for extensions within VS Code, or depending on what text editor you're using, you might be able to find a similar extension or plugin if you're using Atom or Sublime. I know that there are extensions for syntax highlighting on Liquid for both of those other text editors too. So the last thing I wanted to look at today was around creating ignore rules for ThemeKit, which allow you to specify particular files that you do not want to push changes from to a online store. So to describe why that could be helpful, we can maybe look at the specific file that I'm going to be ignoring, which is in our config directory in the settings underscore data.json. So this file, if we look at it here in the local version, this file is in our config folder, and it basically contains all of the current settings that are selected on the online store editor. So this is not a file we really want to be pushing changes to, because if your client, if you're working with a client who's making changes on the theme editor when they're customizing their theme, you don't want to be making changes on your side that might be overriding changes that they are making. So it would be important in this situation to set up an ignore rule. So in the case that you do make any changes to this file, those changes will not be pushed to the live store, to an unpublished theme, because you don't want to overwrite what might be added or what might be selected in the settings. So these could be things like the colors of text. All of these settings are saved on a theme level. So as I mentioned, within that settings file, you can see all of these settings will correspond to what's on the editor. So to create an ignore rule, we will be going back to our config.yaml file, and we can simply add in just this ignore underscore files, and then we can specify which file we don't want to be overwriting, or we want to be ignoring changes to this. You can have multiple files here that will be set up to be ignored. So when I save this, if we go back to ThemeKit, we can see here it's already reloaded the config files. So it's essentially like restarting again, watching on our theme. So now if we do go to this file in our config folder, if for example I wanted to change this to a different color and I save it, we should be seeing no change being pushed here. So this is just going to appear in my local version. It's not going to be pushed up to the live store. And I'm just going to undo that and save again. So as I mentioned, this is particularly useful in the use case where clients might be making changes on the online store editor. So yeah, this is it from me. This is ThemeKit. I hope you've learned a little bit more about how this tool works and potentially how you can start using it if you're working with themes yourself, how this could be implemented into your workflow. And once you start using it, you can start bringing in your own customizations to how this could work for you. So if you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We upload helpful videos every week to support you with your development work on Shopify. So thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.